Nagaland, a picturesque little state in northeastern India. For many years now, an annual event has marked the tradition of the several tribes that live here.
이바 아름이야 그잡 아름가네 아이기다 근미시가 오고 이바 아름이야 우지 물론 다스러는게 이거 강하로 알려서 내랑 락그 이바 아름 아주 그냥 때문에서 다스 이바 아르바 미치는 요는 이바 잡이야 번도 좋은지 아스바노 가르자마 이런 마요즈 사가 금 승가오고 땅지야 도kum바로 이제 땅 지야 도kum바로 번호 수시 이 인물이 좀 아재야 순간에도 아스바노 좋은지 아니면 아작 잡히시네.
Yumla had seen the birds first when he was a young boy. By 2007, the Ao tribe had set aside some space in their village community area, Kanglatao, for their annual visitors. They had created a biodiversity reserve. The following year, the birds did arrive, and this certainly was a good moment for the owl. The hunter had turned protector. They had managed to create a haven for not just the birds, but for other wildlife as well. In a span of just 10 years, the change was visible. However, over the years, the bird numbers had started to gradually decrease, and by 2012, only a few came by. The Ao were left wondering. They did not know where they had gone or why they had left. Monsoon. It rains in India between June and September. As the monsoon recedes, it makes way for winter. As the sun sets in the October sky, Nagaland gears up to welcome their annual visitors. For many years now, these annual visitors have timed their arrival in Nagaland exactly at this time. Amur falcons are by far the most numerous of birds of prey. They have traveled from Amur in Siberia to escape the harsh winter. Flocks between 10 and 20,000 arrive in batches over the next few days. With so many birds crowding around at the same time, it's almost impossible to find private resting places. Every available place is taken, but there are still more birds in the air looking for a spot. As day turns into dusk, termites emerge from their underground nests. The dry winter days after the heavy rains are ideal conditions for these burrowing termites. Every evening, several thousand individuals emerge from their nests. And someone has been waiting for this. Termites are protein-rich food, a necessary supplement for the thin, lean and exhausted travelers. An annual feast for the annual visitors. And when there is food, there is company too. An unexpected company. Not far from Kanglo Tau, just across the ridge, is Doyang Reservoir.
Otona Shangji e Noro Tuksodo in a Luzala, Ndiotole, Jimangi Umwashang Amona Yavandra. Osi become from Sots Janga Hao Chi, the Modi Jangi, Eroya, to Twaya, a Valaland and Jazz by Yavana Kingi, Shano, or a meta Ruiki to a Comfort, Young Batulia in a Pingao Jiakia, and we Uchorang Batula Shang to one had Utang Munha Chagarugena, who had to live to go to one, Bozune Randa, Jalan to Inamala.
When the Doyang Dam was established, their fertile lands, the valley, the plain areas, they were completely submerged. Of course, they were given monetary compensation and maybe the rights to fish in the reservoir, and ultimately they had to go to higher areas to cultivate. And when they started cultivating there, again another problem they faced. Obviously, human-elephant conflicts started coming up. They could not cultivate on anymore. They feared to go to those areas also. So their cultivation areas also hugely reduced. And whatever they could cultivate, even that was being destroyed. Plus, because of the rampant fishing that was going on from all over, it was not just the immediate villages. Any person could come and fish, obviously. And so that was maybe one of the reasons why catch also became largely reduced. They were facing huge problem, and because of which, at that moment of time in November, when these birds come in huge numbers, the first time they came in huge numbers, the people felt that it was an answer to their prayers. It's like manna from heaven.
It was an act of sheer desperation. It took one fisherman to put his net up in the air instead of putting it into the water. With the sheer abundance of birds in the air, a few would certainly get caught. and the other fishermen followed suit. A staggering 10,000 birds were caught in a single evening. Encouraged by this easy success, more nets would spring up in the coming days, and an even greater number of birds would be caught. More than 120,000 Amur falcons were killed in 2012, and the wildlife community around the world was left in shock. It was like a reminder from the past. During the 19th century in North America, passenger pigeon population estimates ranged from 1 billion to just under 4 billion individuals. They were hunted in every possible way, until by the end of the 19th century, their numbers started dwindling. The last surviving pigeon, Martha, breathed her last on the 1st of September 1914 in Cincinnati Zoo. The horrifying large-scale hunting of the Amur falcon was a rude wake-up call for the Indian government. A team headed by Dr. Suresh Kumar from the Wildlife Institute of India quickly set out to Nagaland to assess the situation and draw measures.
The Ministry of Environment had requested WII for information about this particular species. Just then, in fact, we too woke up to realize that we know nothing about this species.
With so little known about these birds, it was important to understand their behavior before any conservation plans were charted out.
It was a collaborative initiative between CMS Raptors MOU, the Nagaland State Forest Department.
In the meantime, however, it was crucial that immediate measures were taken on the ground to stop such incidents from being repeated again.
When this issue was first highlighted, we did not know what we would face, what we would do. We had no idea. We just immediately came here to find out what was the situation like and what these people are thinking, and would they be receptive to any kind of change.
Being a Naga herself, it was easier to communicate with the village members, young and old alike. Her efforts were strengthened further with support from communities and NGOs which were interested in conservation of Amur falcons. But there is only so much a foot soldier can do until they receive a boost. And it came from a highly unlikely source.
More than 95% of the population is Christian. We can reach to a greater number of people through the churches.
To achieve any success in conservation, it is important to have a multi-pronged approach to it and to identify the surest way of reaching those who matter in the most effective way.
Through the pastors, there was a special Sunday sermon for conservation in general and particularly for these birds. Even if there are some people who will not go to attend awareness programs or seminars or so, they would still go to church every Sunday. So that was the way to reach a greater number of people.
This was certainly godsend. The future of the birds was now beginning to look safe. While their conservation partners were strengthening ties with the communities, creating a sense of pride in this conservation exercise, the scientists were preparing to complement their efforts in the coming season. A year later, in 2013, Dr. Suresh Kumar's team was ready.
We had scientists from Hungary who've been working on the sister species of the Amur falcon, which is called the red-footed falcon.
However, there was one last hurdle the team had to pass. And once again, the ingenious fishermen would help the team capture just the right birds. With so many birds flying overhead, it was very important that they captured only a few and the best specimens. They were armed with state-of-the-art technology to monitor these birds. Satellite tags. Each of these tiny specialized instruments, weighing just 5 milligrams, were fitted to the back of the falcons and released.
And we had one male. The male got the name after the state, Naga. The other two birds were females. One was named Woka, after the district Woka, and the other was named Pangti, after the village Pangti. And the birds were tagged and released on 7th of November.
For the first time, over the next 3 months, these birds would provide us with information on the route they take on their long and arduous journey. The days are now getting shorter and colder. The first of the flocks are preparing to leave. From here, they travel further towards the west coast of India and cross over the Arabian Sea into Africa.
Now we know that they cover a distance of 5,600 kilometers, non-stop flight, 5 days, 10 hours.
We started telling these people that this bird comes from such a huge distance and it stops only in Nagaland. It decided to grace us with its presence. So during this time, it is our moral duty, it is a moral obligation to provide safe passage to these birds. They never thought of it this way, and they did not know where these birds came from, the struggle that they were going through. Just because we went there, we made them understand, they started developing an emotional attachment with these birds.
The Doyang Reservoir, where the Lota fishermen had first cast their nets in the sky, would become the Amur falcon's roosting ground. And these efforts for conservation were spreading to the other parts of the state too. In Longleng, the FOAM set up Yongim Chen Biodiversity Reserve, where the birds would roost in large numbers every year.
Takamdalu, masaya moa di bahan talipili, kinalga agendalaga, counseling, ashidako. Yawang sane, kasatado sane dudade, Chengule, di pilin a milli, you takamdalu pongu. Takambuni bonelli sutabili kampung.
The owl would continue to guard the safe haven, Kanglatau, which still continues to be a roosting spot for a few thousand birds. To the south are the plains of Nagaland. This is the farthest the birds will roost.
It was only in the year 2013 that the Amur falcons started coming and roosting in our village area. Decided that it is our duty to see that the birds are given safe passage and refuge during its stay in our village.
Here in these outstretched lands of Hakize, the falcons roost in the teakwood forests under the vigilance of the Amur Falcon Volunteer Group.
in a place like Nagaland where everything walks or crawls or flies is food. There was an example, there was a great example about how community efforts, community conservation maybe is the only answer.
But these efforts from people alone will not go a long way in fully ensuring the safety of the country's wildlife unless it also came under the stewardship of the government.
This effort on part of the community and supported by the government shows that how government and people can come together to change age-old patterns to look at the possibilities and imperatives of today and how to move forward in the changing imperatives of our world.
India is a safe place for all conservation related matters, and in fact we are telling the world that we do conserve the migratory birds of the country.
In October 2017, Nagaland observed the Wildlife Week to mark the arrival of their annual visitors. Since the 2012 incident, Nagaland and its people had taken steps to ensure the safety of these birds. The state and the central government joined forces with the people to protect a common interest, the Amur falcon, and to celebrate the Naga pride. Just when everything was looking good, something unexpected would happen in 2017. Owing to a depression in the east coast of India and El Niño, the rains in Nagaland have been irregular and unpredictable. Sporadic showers still continue to pour in October. This sudden and drastic change in the climate has kept the termites from emerging, and the number of alates have reduced drastically. This spells trouble for the Amur falcons. Not only does this changing climatic condition impact the birds' food resources, it throws up other new challenges. The birds have to constantly keep moving about in order to keep their feathers from getting damp. But that is exhausting work. The falcons are looking weary and hungry. These are desperate times for the birds, and unless they find an alternative, many will die of starvation. For the first time in many years, the birds are forced to change their feeding habits, and how they respond to it will be interesting. Food. Missed it. The little grasshopper seems hard to catch. It's time for a different strategy. Missed it again. Nope. An alternate, all right. But how to catch it? How about sitting lower? That's it. But this scattering of food will not feed the entire colony. A majority of them fly out. They will have to spend the next couple of months foraging these vast forests in search of food. It's late November. The lean and thin frames have added up at least their own body weight in the last few weeks and are ready to go. This time, the birds have somehow managed to survive the sudden change in the environmental condition. What the future holds for these birds is still uncertain. Will these falcons be able to cope with such drastic climatic changes again? And how will this affect their annual migration?